The U.S. Senate passed the widely anticipated CARES Act Wednesday, which is now sitting in the House awaiting a vote. If passed, it'll put a little money in the hands of millions of Americans who need it. It'll help small businesses limp through this crisis while they have to keep their doors closed. It'll give you an extra few months to file your federal taxes. Oh, and it will also give PBS $75 million. And while you're waiting on your $1,200 check, guess how much pork is in this bill? Billions. In a 96-0 vote on Wednesday, the U.S. Senate passed the CARES Act, a massive $2.2 trillion aid package designed to help Americans and employers make it through this national coronavirus shutdown that's already left a record 3.3 million people filing for unemployment. Now the bill's headed to the House, where Nancy Pelosi is set to sink her claws into it and potentially bring it up for a vote on Friday. Because, we've got nothing but time over here. Now, a few things of note. The bill, as it was passed in the Senate and sent to the House, provides for a one-time payment of $1,200 per person making $75,000 a year or less, and $2,400 per married couple making $150,000 or less based on your 2018 tax returns. It also provides $500 per child, includes an extra $600 a week on top of regular unemployment for those who've been laid off, and it pushes the federal tax filing deadline to July 15th. It provides about $300 billion in loans for small businesses, much of which would be forgiven if they rehire and pay their workers. Another $500 billion in loans is provided for big companies, states, and municipalities, so it does some good things. Some. Here are some other things that it provides for, and these are just a few. $20 million for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. $2 million for Justice Information Sharing Technology for the DOJ. $60 million for NASA for Safety, Security, and Mission Services, $75 million for the National Science Foundation, $400 million in election security grants, $200 million for the FCC, $100 million for the TSA, because we all know how useful that is on a good day, an additional $7 million for wildland fire management, $25 million for the Kennedy Center, $75 million in extra grant money for the National Endowment for the Arts, another $75 million for the National Endowment for Humanities. It also provides $75 million for NPR and PBS, $25 million to clean and sanitize the Capitol building, and finally, an additional $25 million for salaries and expenses for Congress. Now, the fact checkers that be and the congressmen who passed this bill want you to know that that is not a $25 million salary raise. No, not at all. It's just $25 million more for their telework equipment, childcare, and food expenses. So not salaries. Totally okay. Oh, by the way, this is all additional money on top of what these agencies and departments were already appropriated earlier this year. This is extra. Now, I'm all about helping Americans survive this crisis. The massive price tag on this bill should scare us all witless, considering we're already $23 trillion in debt. But millions of people have lost their jobs through no fault of their own here, and they have to eat. But can someone please tell me what in the world Shakespeare in the Park has to do with the coronavirus? How does shoveling tens of millions more into NASA help people whose lives are being completely upended because they can't go to work right now? Bet that $25 million for the Kennedy Center could have bought a few more face masks for our hospitals, or maybe helped some vulnerable homeless folks get off the street. Those are just some suggestions. Why does Big Bird get $75 million in extra funding when a business owner who made $100,000 a year but has now been forced to close his store gets nothing? This is a $2.2 trillion aid package supposedly designed to help Americans survive this pandemic, and Congress is pouring billions of dollars into things that have nothing to do with the virus. Because see, this is what government does. They toss a couple $1,000 to each American and say, best of luck to you, hope this sees you through for the next God only knows how long. And then gives a federally subsidized theater $25 million for deep cleaning and telework technology. Ironic that it's called the CARES Act. Cares about who, exactly? People or already bloated federal programs? About keeping America running or just fueling the massive government machine? This is everything wrong with the federal government in one bill. It's too big to get your hands around. It's too long to have properly read before voting on it. It's inefficient. It spends money where it's not needed and leaves out things that are. It throws pennies at American taxpayers while propping up partisan pet projects, and it does it all at the expense of our children's grandchildren. And while the bill might be massive, the issues with it can be summed up very, very simply. When a government cannot procure enough ventilators for dying people, but can find millions in extra funding to throw at the National Endowment for the Arts, we've got a problem. And that's your Reality Check, America. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, that you like us on Facebook and Twitter. Stay sane out there.